News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. This is the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Okay, here we are, this hour of the show. Michael Cohen actually was cross-examined today, so the prosecution has brought up its last witness. This is it. Many experts today said this is really bad because to close a case with this guy who is a convicted serial liar, he lied to the press, he lied to a federal judge, he lied to Congress, he lied to the IRS. He's a convicted felon. And this is the only. Yesterday we had a listener called in, and she agrees with me probably most of the time from what I gather. But she said she thought that Michael Cohen has everything to lose by testifying against Trump. I strongly disagreed, and today proves it for you. Here's the thing: the man has been disbarred by the state of New York. He can never practice law again. The man's a convicted felon. Nobody's going to hire him at corporate America ever again. He has made millions upon millions of dollars, $2 or $3 million on a book deal, and several $100,000 on shirts and merchandise. So this is the way. He's now pitching a reality show. I played the audio for you from that yesterday of him in a brand new reality show. The same guy that did the Joe, what's his name? Joe, whatever his name is, the alligator guy, or whatever he was, the tiger guy, Tiger King. The guy that did that special with him, he's in Fort Worth prison, in federal Fort Worth. He sent me letters or emails and stuff. I don't respond, but is the same guy who pitched the show for Cohen. He's pitching it right now. Cohen has everything to gain by testifying against Trump and being a star witness. Everything. He will be a hero by the left, and he will have his own show and tell a story. He will be the ticker tape parade lead, and he will get millions more. He will never be able to work at this high income level that he did under Trump and after Trump once he is, if this case goes not guilty. It's just like Stormy Daniels when she kept pushing her attorney saying, get this thing settled before the election. If he loses, I lose everything. I won't get anywhere near the amount of money, or if anything. Get it settled now. And that's what her attorney told Cohen, and it was played the audio tapes. You have to believe Cohen today. You have to believe Michael Cohen that he's being truthful. There's nothing in print saying this is for political expenses. And it's perfectly legal to use a company's money to pay off hush money for anybody, including Rahm Emanuel did it with these same people. Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's very common. And other actors, we've read off the name. But he said today he was caught saying to President Trump, referring to him as a dictator D-bag. I won't say the full word, a woman's product. You said that to him, didn't you? Sounds like something I said, referring to Trump when he left the courtroom, saying he does the right. He goes right into that little cage, which is where he belongs, in an effing cage like an animal. Also, Trump's lead attorney, Todd Blanche, grilled him heavy. You went on TikTok and called me a crying little S-word just before this trial began. Sounds like something I'd say. Laughs in the courtroom. Now, just because they laugh doesn't mean that this is going to get a conviction. There's nothing here that has been nailed. I want to ask you a few questions. Tomorrow he'll be grilled again, Michael Cohen. And a lot of the people like Jonathan Turley, who is a liberal Democrat and an expert, a legal expert from George Washington Law as a professor, said today that Michael Cohen did not do a good job at all, and his testimony and the the prosecution, the defense's questioning of him has really crumbled against Cohen's favor, against it. Has Michael Cohen, here's my questions for you that I want to hear from you at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Has Michael Cohen done anything today to change your mind? Do you think he has changed the jurors' minds as of today? And do you think Trump's chances of winning this case have increased today or decreased from what you have seen, gathered, heard, and read? And do you agree that the outcome of this case could literally change who wins the election this fall? I'm still sticking with that because this is everything. Nobody knows. And our number, by the way, to call in right now, chime in. The line's wide open for you at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Has Cohen done anything to change your mind? Do you think he's changed the jurors' minds as of today? Do you think Trump's chances of winning this case have increased or decreased today, after today? And do you agree the outcome of this case could literally change who wins the election this fall? 800-288-WBAP is our number. So I actually think that it actually could change the results, because you have to get a jury to convict unanimously. And I hear a lot of experts say there's no way you're not going to get at least 1, 2, 3, 4 people, or a hung jury or an acquittal. I don't know that. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows it. This is insane. It's never been done before. And the jury pool is extremely biased against him. Nobody knows. And those 2 attorneys on the jury, including one who's the jury foreman, I'm assuming because his companies, both their companies have DEI garbage on there, and they're super woke. So does that mean that the guys that are attorneys? I don't know, but I don't trust them as far as Adam, because we see leftist liberal attorneys on MSNBC fake news and fake news CNN always saying how this is a serious trial and Trump's nailed it. Oh, he got him through. Like, what are you doing? What are you smoking? So the point of this being is that I don't put anything beyond anybody, and the truth is nobody knows. Now, if we listen to a majority of the experts, even on CNN and MSNBC, we hear a lot of negativity about this case and about its chances because of who's unfolding, who its star witness is, and that there's no exact proof other than you literally, what came down today is you literally have to take the word of a convicted felon and a serial liar who's lied to everybody, Congress, press, judge, federal judge, to the world, everybody, and who lied to the IRS, lied to the federal government, lied to a judge. I mean, the guy lies about everything. But here's the one thing: he can only maintain this highfalutin lifestyle if he gets Trump convicted. Do you understand that? He has been making millions for his whole life. He's lost almost everything now because of this trial and being in prison for 3 years, a convicted felon, being disbarred. This is the only way for him to maintain his lifestyle. This is the only way. He has to get a conviction. And he went from loving him, he was portrayed as like a stalker of Trump's, a leg humper of Trump's, to now being a hater of Trump's for opportunity, for his wallet to get fatter. And so that's why he's shopping his show around. I mean, they played this in the courtroom to show this man's an opportunist, and he's saying profane things about Trump, about us, about how he has to get him in bars. He's selling T-shirts. He's going on TikTok saying these things. So I don't think they're establishing a motive. I think they're establishing a motive that is, he's a dirtbag that has his chance to stay at his multi-million-dollar lifestyle if he gets Trump convicted. So he'll say or do anything. And he's lied to everybody and their brother. 800-288-WBAP. Do we have time to pop Carrie on real fast? All right, Carrie in Dallas, you're up first, coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, about whether Trump will be convicted or not. And unfortunately, Carrie may be strongly thinking it's going to go bad for Trump. And we have to be honest. Yesterday, I got about a half the callers, or 3/4, or maybe a third to a half, maybe even more, may have even been a plurality, said, Chris, I don't think this is going to go well. Do you understand that if it doesn't go well, then there's a very good chance the election's over? I mean, this is so concerning. I can't overstate it. All right, that's next on the Chris Crock Show. We have 4 lines open: 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Did you hear Bill Maher trashing Stormy Daniels because of an interview he did with her, and now she totally contradicts herself in this testimony? And none of this may matter, because if the jury wants to convict for no reason, they can. All that's next on the Chris Crock Show. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227.
Everybody's saying there's no crime. Sure as fact, D.A. Bragg, who turned down the case. By the way, he turned down the case, and it could have been brought 6 years ago, 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago. They bring it right in the middle of my presidential campaign. There's no fraud here. There's no crime here. This is 4 weeks of keeping me from not campaigning. The whole world is laughing now at the New York weaponized legal system.
You know, Bill Maher trashed Stormy Daniels on his show. yesterday or the day before over the fact that she totally contradicted herself. She claimed that maybe she was raped and blacked out, and Trump was blocking the door. Maher says total BS. She's a bad witness. You say it's not a Me Too case. He was on her interview with him several years ago. No, it's not a Me Too case, Stormy said. I wasn't assaulted. I wasn't attacked or raped or coerced or blackmailed. They tried to shove me into the Me Too box to further their own agenda. First of all, I don't want to be part of that because it's not the truth, and I'm not a victim in that regard. So now she says, oh, Trump is bigger. He's blocking the way. Maher says it's all those Me Too buzzwords. She said there was an imbalance of power for sure. My hands were shaking so hard. I blacked out. He says, blacked out? She's a porn star. Do you really think she blacked out? A porn star? She's having sex with people she doesn't like or know? I just think she's not a good witness. Yeah, well, it's interesting. It may not matter. And, you know, this could be more depressing the more we talk to folks who are going to say, hey, look, I think he's totally innocent. This is a joke, but they're going to get him because of the jury pool. Let's talk to Carrie, who apparently wants to whiz in our Cheerios with more of that news. I'm not mad at her for saying, here we go, let's go. Be honest with me. My questions are, has Michael Cohen done anything today to change your mind? Do you think he's changed the mind of the jurors as well? And do you think Trump's chances of winning this case have increased today or decreased based on what you know about the trial today? And finally it went over to the defense to go after Michael Cohen with a vengeance. They'll be doing it again tomorrow. And do you agree that the outcome of this case could literally change who wins the election this fall? As I do. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Carrie in Dallas, you're on 820 AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, Carrie.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, hello again.
Hello.
Yes, hello for a third time.
Yes, I don't think it matters what anybody says or does or how the witness is good or bad. I don't think it matters with the jury. I think they're going to convict him, and I think it's going to have to go to appeal. I think he'll be found innocent on appeal, but I think that they're going to drag this out for the election as long as they possibly can.
Do you know when the appeal, how fast they can get it so that he can be vindicated? Do you know when that's going to be? Do you have an idea?
No, I have no idea.
It will not be before the election.
I didn't think so. And I think that's the whole reason for bringing this sham of a case, because they absolutely have no case. There's a reason the Justice Department denied it. And it's just strictly to drag this out. The
Federal Elections Commission investigated, refused to even fine him for anything. He didn't do anything wrong that could even be fined for it. Hillary was fined for doing something in this realm, for actually doing this. She actually was found guilty of it and fined $8,000. Her campaign was.
Absolutely.
Not Trump.
Absolutely.
Not Trump. And Cy Vance, the former DA of Manhattan, said this is not a case we're not prosecuting. He refused. Alvin Bragg won on the premise of running for DA and prosecuting Trump. And then after he got in, he's like, this is stupid. There's no case here once he got into the weeds. And that's when the prosecutor resigned under him and wrote a book attacking him for not prosecuting. So that's where we're at. And so do you agree that the country will, enough of the independent and moderate voters will refuse to vote for Trump because he's a convicted felon, and then Joe wins again?
No, I don't believe that. I believe that the country as a whole is going to back him, because I think most of the country believes that he is innocent and this is completely a sham trial. But I do think he will be convicted.
Well, if you're right about the conviction, the polling and a lot of folks out there that I at least listen to and give some credibility to say that that could do him in right there. So I hope you're wrong.
I hope it does change things. It does change things.
He's a convicted felon. That's all they'll do is parade it around. Convicted felon, convicted felon. Yep. Biden will be like, I'm not debating you. You're a convicted felon.
No, I agree. I
Lord
agree
help
with
us.
you. But I just hope that enough people are smart enough to realize that this is asinine.
I hope so, too. Appreciate your call, Carrie. I fear the worst. I really do. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Michael Cohen is 57. He's been disbarred. He will never make the kind of money he made under Trump and after Trump. And the only way for him to live in this lifestyle or anywhere near it that he's been in for years, before jail and even after jail, is to win. And so, here's the thing. I mean, I can come up with all sorts of excuses and reasons that there's a good chance that there will not be a conviction, one of which could be one person in there, it's a Democrat or even a moderate Democrat or maybe an independent might say, this is pathetic. I'm not going to – there's nothing here. This is a joke. It's embarrassing, and there's nothing. That could happen. You might have 2 or 3 people that are like, hey, I'm a liberal Democrat, but I'm not prosecuting. This is so stupid. I don't believe any of you. You want me to believe some guy who's a liar in every way, shape, or form? And is a convicted felon? Are you kidding me? He's lied to everybody. IRS, Congress, a federal judge, media. There's nobody that we're aware of that he hasn't lied to. Man, this is scary. This is so... I want to scream. I want to cry. This is so pathetic that I mean, this is unbelievable. I don't want to say what's in my mind, which is we're Venezuela now, because that has become what is it called? A cliche. In a month or two, it's become a cliche. But it's true. This country, if we've stepped into Venezuela now, and if they convict, we are Venezuela. That's it. And if we're Venezuela, we're done. Now, we won't be done overnight, but we're done. You need to pray for justice in this. You need to do everything you can to support the president in this, and this is... Angering isn't enough. All right, we've got 3 lines open. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Has Michael Cohen done anything today to change your mind on this case? And do you think he's changed the juror's mind today, as he was grilled by the defense finally today, and he'll be grilled again tomorrow? And do you think Trump's chances of winning this case increased today or decreased? And do you agree that the outcome of this case could literally change who wins the election this fall? As I have to be honest with you, it could. I don't know if it will, but it could. It sure could. Okay, I want to give you some more information that we have from the trial of what he has said and what he has done from today's testimony. Michael Cohen coming up next. Plus, we will be talking to more listeners who are on hold right now, like Mark from McKinney, who says he believes Trump will be convicted. I mean, this is. We have to be honest. So I'm not going to pretend like it's not going to happen. This is some scary stuff. After this, coming up in a few minutes afterwards, we're going to get into. You're not going to want to. This is going to be worse news. Joe Biden wants to leave Hamas kind of in charge in Gaza and end this war right now. Everything that's happening is in our country and our world is shocking and very scary. All that's next on the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227.
President Trump is innocent of these charges. And again, anyone with common sense can understand what is happening here. In the midst of all this nonsense and corruption.
It's actually a scam trial, and it's tying up the president from being out on the campaign trail.
This trial is a joke. This thing is a farce. Where's the crime? There is no crime.
This is a politicized persecution. What exactly is the crime that Donald Trump committed? Oh, wait. We have not heard a good answer to that question.
Well, those are the Republicans that gathered out. I think it's great that they're out there gathering and speaking out on Trump's behalf when he cannot with the gag order garbage. And I just want to ask you what you think today of the testimony. I know we didn't get to hear it or see it. They've released the transcripts, but that just doesn't do justice. But nonetheless, has Michael Cohen done anything that you're aware of to change your mind? And do you think he's changed the jurors' minds and maybe into convicting him if they weren't already going that direction? And do you think Trump's chances of winning the case have increased or decreased today? Lastly, do you agree the outcome of this case could literally change who wins the election this fall? I have to be honest with you, it certainly could. I hope it doesn't. This is a very, very scary time for our country and our history. Also, Cohen has no other way to maintain his lifestyle. at 57 years of age, disbarred, there's nothing left for him to do, or go get a real job that has nothing to do with legal and business because nobody will want him. Or he can be a freak show like he's been to try to make money out of it. And that's why they need a guilty verdict. In just a little bit here, in a few minutes, we're going to get into the unbelievable, unthinkable surrender position that Joe Biden has for Israel. You're not going to believe how bad this is. It's very angering and jaw-dropping to me. But first, before we get to that in a couple minutes, let's go to Mark and McKinney, who's called in at 800, plus your call. Calling right now. We got 4 lines open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Mark and McKinney, you're on 820 AM and now 93.3 FM WBAP.
Yeah, I was just going to say this case was over before it started. They're going to convict Trump because they hate him. I mean, I don't think anything the defense can do is going to change the people's minds. And I would go so far as to say, even if the jury acquitted him, I think that judge is crazy enough to find a way to convict him. He's just going to get convicted, and due process, as we know it, is thrown out the window. And I've told all my friends, you need to have chills down your spine because if they can do this to him, what are they going to do to you? And they're going to come after us.
You have to clap. You have to clap for the dictator Biden and his acolytes and the FBI, the CIA, et al., and the DNC. Otherwise, you're next.
Yeah, and I think if he gets convicted, I think his numbers will soar. I don't know how this will affect the election because I think the American people have seen it and they're disgusted. But I hope he doesn't. We all know he's innocent. But these people hate Trump so much, they'll do anything they can to stay in power and to see him put behind bars.
And they don't realize just how horrible they look and how they're contorting themselves like they're playing a game of Twister to try to make this look like it's legitimate, and it's not, and it's nakedly obvious.
No, there's not one thing legitimate, nor has there been in the other cases. But
what about what about this? What about because this is the only one that's going to trial before his and a verdict's coming in before his election this November. And what about independents and slightly moderate Democrats? We have many African Americans and Hispanics who have totally abandoned Biden, more and more abandoning Biden at 20%. The black men, which is incredible and unheard of. It went from 8% to 20% as of right now. Do you really think, though, forget the African Americans and Hispanic, I want to just go to one thing. Independents and moderate Democrats and moderate Republicans who don't like Trump but will still vote for him maybe, they watch fake news CNN as their primary source. I see it when I go to the workout place. Half of us have Fox. The other half have fake news CNN or sports or something apolitical. So those people are not going to get the whole story.
No, and that's what's gonna hurt us.
And that's the problem. That 6% is what we'll need to win, or 3%. And if we don't have that, we lose. So this will, quite frankly, I believe, determine the outcome of the race. I hope.
Yeah. You know, like I would love to be a fly on the wall if that jury comes back with a non-guilty verdict, and just to see that judge's face, what actions he'll take.
I don't foresee him overriding a jury.
I mean, who foresaw what we have happening right now?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing is off the table as far as these people are concerned. You got January 6th riot people who were just in the area going to jail for no reason at all,
or just politely trespassing but not hurting anybody, hitting anybody, or damaging anything. And trespassing, and for that they are in federal prison, and it's unthinkable. And the numbers keep growing because it's all about optics. Look at all these insurrectionists, even though a real insurrection is when you're Yevgeny Prigozhin and you lead thousands of troops towards, and you march towards Moscow, and you shoot down 8 choppers and planes and kill 13 soldiers, and you're 250 miles south of Moscow on the main highway going into it, and Putin puts out tanks on all the major entrances and exits for Moscow because he actually feels like this is it, and that's an insurrection. Taking out a fighter jet that was worth $1 billion and several choppers and killing 13 soldiers, that's an insurrection. I appreciate your call.
I mean,
go ahead.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, bud. All right, 800-288-WBAP is the number, 800-288-9227. Okay, Joe Biden, it comes out today from the Times of Israel, big newspaper in Israel. Quote, U.S. aims to wrap up Gaza war. How does that square with its goal of toppling Hamas? The United States of America, under Joe Biden and his administration, will allow Hamas to live. Joe Biden said Hamas is ISIS. They must be annihilated. And now he says, you know what? Hamas needs to stay. Those 4 brigades of some 8,000 troops must stay. The 2 of the top 3 leaders of Hamas that led this October 7th terror attack that murdered 1,200 Jews, that has seen 230 or 40 people kidnapped. Many American citizens are still kidnapped by the Hamas terrorists, and Joe wants to leave them in power. He thinks, well, no, Chris, they're ineffective, and really it's time now to negotiate, and you're never going to get rid of every one of them, so let them be. Let the 2 of 3 top leaders live, and let the 8,000 brigades, including the most powerful and wicked of the brigades, let them stay, and let them do a deal where we pretend that they're barely have any power at all, and they're going to work with the Palestinian, the PA, the Palestinian Authority, which is so corrupt and so inept that the people of Gaza reject them and hate them. And Hamas killed a lot of their people, the Palestinian Authority. They are not trusted and not liked by the Palestinian people. And so Joe Biden's like, hey, we have no reputable, strong leader that we could put in from Palestinian Authority, and Hamas is going to stay, and we're going to have them come together, and we're going to work towards a 2-state solution where a terrorist state exists right next to Israel, and then they're going to take it from the river to sea and kill all the Jews in between the West Bank and Gaza, and they're going to kill them, and I will look good for the election this fall. You're going to do this for me, good old Joe. Hamas stays. Oh, look. Oh, we defeated Hamas. Oh, look at that. Oh. Well, these are just some of the moderate people that read Mein Kampf and have killed Jews and were in charge of killing thousands of Jews and kidnapping people, including American citizens, and raping them. They're moderates. Guys, folks, Joe would say, folks, it's time. It's over. They've won. Yeah. Hey, victory. I'm going to give you the details of that. Plus how the United States also was attacking Israel, saying it likely violated international law. And you know all those numbers you've been told? Those casualty numbers? Do you know they're officially been totally dropped down, way lower? Have you heard of this? Did you know about this? All those casualty numbers, women and children being killed supposedly by Israel? Lie. The authoritative Jew-hating group that is in charge of this, that is respected by leftists all over the world, says it's half of the numbers. I'll give you all those numbers and who that entity is and everything coming up next on the Chris Crock Show as we ask you about if you're okay with Joe Biden's plan to let Hamas remain and be in charge of Gaza. And would you take this deal if you were Israel? And much more coming up next at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. It's Chris Crock on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Joe Biden has sold out Israel even worse now. Funny enough, we just learned today that there was a call 2 months ago with Bibi Netanyahu where they took it out of the readout where you could read what was said back and forth, the transcript of the calls between the presidents, a prime minister and the president. And they took out the fact that he was already saying 2 months ago that he was threatened. He threatened Bibi to rethink his support for the war 2 months ago. He doesn't give a frog's fat you-know-what about the Jews or Israel. He cares about his election this November. Number two, the Biden administration is now saying publicly, and the Times of Israel reported today, that a substantially weakened, quote-unquote, Hamas will still be in charge. Joe wants Hamas in charge. Joe loves him some Hamas, and he wants them with the Palestinian Authority to rule over the Gazans so they can rape and kill more Jews and Americans and get away with it. Joe Biden wants to hand Hamas a victory in this war so that he can have a victory this November. And we also have another piece that came out today. The United Nations, the Jew-hating, leftist, woke UN and terrorist-loving UN, just said they have revised all the death tolls in Gaza. They cut them in half. Half the amount of women and half the amount of children that the terrorists that run Hamas have been telling us. Joe has been quoting Hamas, saying that 35,000, I don't know if it was 35,000 when he spoke in the State of the Union. He took Hamas's number and said, look at that, they're killing all these civilians. The terrorists Hamas who murdered the Jews are right. I trust the terrorists who murdered and raped the Jews and have kidnapped our citizens, our U.S. citizens right now that are holding them and raping them and torturing them. I trust Hamas. How dare these Jews kill terrorists? So, the number of women dropped in half from 9,500 to 4,750, from 9,500 to 4,750, and the children the terrorists in Hamas claimed that were killed went from 14,500 to 7,250. So that's 24,000 to 12,000. Boom. Wow. It's a miracle. Half the kids and women are revived. They're alive again. Woo-hoo, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. It's Resurrection Day all over again, guys. Wow. Israel says about 14,000 terrorists have been killed. So if you add 14,000 terrorists plus 12,000 civilians, that is 26,000. That is almost exactly 10,000 less than terrorists Hamas say, and that all makes sense. Guess what else Hamas can't do with almost all this deaths? It cannot provide names, date of births, and stuff. You know why? Because they don't want you to figure out they're members of Hamas. All right? So everything you're being told is a lie, and Joe Biden wants to keep these terrorists in power. Are you okay with Biden's plan to let Hamas terrorists remain and be in charge in Gaza? Would you take this deal if you were Israel? And would you consider what Israel has done in response to the Hamas terror attack illegal or praiseworthy? Shouldn't we be praising Israel's success against Hamas that has had minimal casualties? Absolutely yes. 800-288-WBAP is our number. Lines wide open for you. Chime in right now. 800-288-9227. Are you okay with Biden's plan to let Hamas stay in charge in Gaza with the Palestinian Authority? And would you take this deal if you were Israel? You know what? We'll let Hamas stay. We were just playing when we said we're going to kill them all the terrorists. And would you consider what Israel has done in response to the Hamas terrorist attack illegal or praiseworthy? And shouldn't we be praising Israel's success against Hamas that has minimal casualties? Do you know what the UN's own words are and its own statistics are for urban warfare? In urban warfare, the UN says for every one military person, or in this case terrorist killed, 9 civilians die. That is the numbers from the UN about urban warfare. 1 bad guy for every 9 innocent people. Guess what the numbers in Israel has been? And I told you about this. It was astounding. It was 1 terrorist killed for 1.5 civilians. Like 6 times less than the UN says they should be at. But guess what else? With these new numbers from the UN, it's like 1 terrorist death for 1.2 civilian deaths. It's unbelievable. It's literally almost 9 times less than the UN says should be killed, civilians. This has never been seen. It's unbelievable, rapidly successful urban warfare, and Israel's being shut down by this president, and the Jews are being told, you know what? Let it happen again. Never again is not happening. It's over. Never again is happening again soon. Relax. It's okay. Just strap down and get used to it. More's coming because we want them to stay. And last but not least, the U.S. is also destroying Israel today and its reputation further by saying publicly through the Associated Press, the Biden administration said Friday that Israel's use of the U.S. provided weapons in Gaza, likely violated international humanitarian law. The U.S. finds reasonable evidence to conclude the U.S. ally Israel has breached international law protecting civilians in the way it conducted its war against Hamas. Strongest statement the Biden administration has made yet on the matter, yet they can't link a specific weapon in this. This is it. Joe Biden has turned Israel into the criminals, Hamas into the do-gooders, and they want Hamas to win. I'm just unbelievably horrified by this. Texas tollway authorities nailing people, little mercy. What are your tollway woes, and what do you think about people who get charged with crimes for not paying their tolls? That's up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset.